Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom, sort my hair out, football channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for Championship review and reaction round number 28. A interesting round of games here. Maybe it's opened up a little bit in the automatics. A 5-point gap now in between 7th and 6th as it pertains to the playoffs. And that tide keeps arising down the bottom of the table. Join us for review and we'll look at every single game, every single goal. At the end as well, it will be team of the week and goal of the week. You give me your thoughts on that. We'll go through every game. We'll go top to bottom. I would love to hear from you and read out your comments, but please focus on the game that we're on because those are the comments that I will read up. We'll go through in order top to bottom. So if anyone's wondering when their team will be read out, or if I'm taking too long to get to their team, then your team needs to get themselves higher up in the table if you don't want to wait quite as long. Before we go any further, you can contribute and support the channel via Super Chat at any point in the broadcast. First Super Chat becomes the king of the bin. You can also support over on Patreon. We are building up our work over on Patreon to hopefully have a weekly schedule to rival this over here on YouTube as well, to get you the biggest bang for your buck. In the main, if you do just want to donate, though, that is the biggest help you can give my ambitions here to make this my full or part-time living. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook or Twitter, just hit that thumbs up icon, whatever it means. Follow, like, subscribe, whatever you're watching on. Always helps. Over 14,000 subscribers now on YouTube. Fantastic stuff. This is the review show. So as ever, we say thank you to Russ, a fan and now a friend, despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. Russ is our sponsor. He got involved over on Patreon for all of our championship review shows. Big thank you to him. Let me know that you can see me, hear me loudly and clearly, and then we will begin. And there it is. Thank you, Owen. Wonderful. 10 Aussie dollars there. Thank you so much. Owen is the king of the bin and a very, very generous contributor. Evening all, Mr. Ian, Noah and Chris in the chat saying hello already. Lovely to see you guys. Let's go through our results for round 28. Swansea 2, Norwich 0 on Friday night. Coventry 0, Watford 0 on the early kickoff. Barnsley and Derby was postponed. And here are your 3 o'clock Saturday results. It was Bournemouth 3, Birmingham 2, Bristol City 0, Cardiff 2, Luton 1, Huddersfield 1, Borough 1, Brentford 4, Millwall 4, Wednesday 1, Preston 1, Rotherham 2, QPR 1, Blackburn 0, Stoke 0, Reading 0, Wickham 0, Forest 3. Let's go from the top down. And first was our huge Friday night game. Thank you for everybody that joined me on the watch along. This was one that we definitely were not going to miss. And it was Swansea 2, Norwich 0. Get your comments in on this one. It was Woodman in goal for Swansea, Norton, Bennett, Guay, Bidwell and Roberts wide, Grimes and Fulton, Hurahan, Ayew, Lowe for a pretty strong-looking Swans team there. Hurahan has worked his way already into an important role there. For Norwich, Krull in goal, Aarons, Hanley, Gibson, Sorensen over Janulis. Be interested to know why. Skip and McLean. So Rupp is a little bit further forward with Plachetta and Cantwell. Temu Pukki up top. And after 3, everybody, no Emi Buendia. We'll talk about why that is probably the most important factor in any Norwich game now, looking at the looking at the numbers. Let's have a look at the 2 goals here. Tim Krul, thought by many, I would have thought, as the best goalkeeper in the division, makes an absolute howler here. Comes out, tries to grab it, and then worse still, compounds his mistake by chasing out further. Gray then wins the next ball, and Mayhew spins for 1-0 just before half-time. And just after half-time, worst possible time, not that there's ever a good time to concede a goal, Conor Hurahan, he's a long way out, but he uses the players in the way to drill that one low to Tim Krul's left for a 2-0 win for the Swans. 20 points in 8 games for Swansea over those last 8, 2.5 points per game. And here's those Buendia numbers now. And this is over a 74-game sample size in the Championship. So we're not pulling this out of thin air. With Emi Buendia, Norwich 2.3 points per game and essentially runaway champions if you extrapolate that out. Without him, 0.78 points per game and essentially relegated. So literally, we have statistical number evidence that this guy takes Norwich literally from the top of the league to the bottom. So if you're a Norwich fan, you're probably hoping and praying that that guy does not get injured at any point between now and the end of the season. Possibly, if you're an opposition player, now that these numbers have been really, really pushed and Neil Warnock's done the marking job, will we just see him man-marked every week now that this is kind of out in the public domain, that there is some statistical evidence to say that Norwich are extremely reliant on the player? Obviously, lies, damn lies and statistics. There are probably many other multiple factors that go into a win or a loss, but it does seem a big sample size and a revealing stat, let's just say. There is the top of the table. So little slip from Norwich. Obviously, the 3 games now with 2 points just from those 3 games. The first one, the 0-0 against Middlesbrough, in which Buendia was sent off, and then Buendia suspended for the next 2 games away at Millwall and Swansea. I do believe the fixtures open out a bit for Norwich now, and Buendia obviously returns. So if those numbers are right, Norwich will start winning again as of the next game and Buendia's return. But it's all tightened up. Norwich 55 now. We'll talk about Brentford in a minute. Swansea on 53 with a game in hand over the Canaries, who I believe now don't play until the 13th, which would be a week today. Is there midweek? I don't know if either of the other 2 catch up in midweek. Pass on that one when the games in hand happen. But that is the state of it. Let's have a look here. Those stats are incredible. I know it's. I'm sure they'll be proved wrong at some point. Victory rows, but well, we've got them, and it is literally the difference between top and bottom. It's not the difference between automatic and dropping into the playoffs, or automatic or playoffs and middle of the table. It is literally top to bottom. Woof. Swans already ahead of where we were in the 2011 promotion season. Nice. That was playoffs. And I do think, and that is probably a good one to raise. But I think I'm right in saying, no, it was Blackpool, wasn't it? Let me know. Someone remind me what the total was. I think it might be a low total you're going against in that one. But there you go. Morning, Ben. Great win for the Swans. 3-horse race for the top 2, although we can't rule out Reading. I didn't think Norwich looked at their best even before Buendia got sent off against Borough. His return will, of course, help, but I feel it's an important game against Stoke, who love to sit behind the ball, don't they? So Swans looked very good, says Noah. QPR forever. Swans going up. Is that midweek then, Morgan, the FA Cup game? And Colin says Reading and Brentford on Wednesday. So Brentford with the game in hand in midweek. Swansea playing, obviously, in the FA Cup against Manchester City. Interesting, very, very interesting times at the top of the table. Let's talk about Brentford, who went to Borough and won 4-1. Let me know your thoughts on this game. Middlesbrough 1, Brentford 4. And use whatever number you want now. Brentford 20 undefeated, 2.43 points per game over 15 games. So they have racked up, I think, 11 wins and 4 draws. So 37 points in 15 games. They're in outrageously good form. Borough now 5 losses in 8. And after we were lauding their excellent home form, 4 home defeats in a row, which is very odd for a Neil Warnock team, isn't it? Bettinelli in goal for Borough, Fisher, Boller, McNair, Dykesdale, Howson and Morrissey in front of them, Balassi, Seville, Cabano and Assombalonga. For Brentford, Raya in goal, Dalsgaard, Pinnock, Sorensen, Henry, Jensen, Janelt, Godos, Fosu into that team now playing really nicely, Tony, the goal machine, and Canos up the front. Let's have a look at the goals. And if there's one blot on Brentford's copybook in the past games, it's been defending set plays, hasn't it? Obviously, the Swansea goal came from David Raya under the ball. Did he get fouled or did he not get fouled? And then against Bristol City, the opening goal, conceding the set play. And again, I'm sure Brentford fans will argue that an incriminating picture, but if you freeze any picture where a goalkeeper is jumping, it looks like he's been fouled. All I know is that every manager in the Championship will now be aware of how good Brentford are and can you swing a free kick on top of Raya and get someone to jump next to him. Foul or no foul, Warnock would have had that prepped and this will have been discussed beforehand. So maybe some little kryptonite for Brentford, who are 20 games undefeated now. So there's something there. But 1-0 to Borough. Here's the equaliser. Fosu, who's now got 2 goals and 2 assists in the last 4, doing really well to get in front of McNair, who obviously can't touch him, else he's denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and risking a red card. Squared across to Tony, who smacks in goal number 21 of the season. Don't worry, number 22 is on its way. Here's Vitali Janelt. Tony heads it down to Janelt. Good, composed volley. He doesn't slash at it. He doesn't smack it really that hard. Just angles it into the corner nice and accurately. Poor Paddy McNair on the 3rd goal. Slips on halfway. He's the last guy and he's on the ball. Jensen runs through, gives Bettinelli the impression he's going to square it across to Tony, goes round the other way and sticks it into the net. But so Tony could have been having another hat-trick in this game because there he is, sorry, a bit blurry, heading in. Bit of a muddly one. Henry hit the bar, then Mbeumo crossed the rebound and Tony heads in. His 22nd goal in 25 games. 22 in 25. And there's every chance now, if he doesn't get hurt and Brentford don't fall off a cliff, which we don't imagine for 1 minute that they will. So 8 goals away from the magic 30, which we have not had now since Glenn Murray in 2012. More from Glenn Murray later. And if he can get above the 30, I think it's only Lee Hughes and Guy Whittingham then ahead in terms of top Championship scorers since sort of the playoff era started and the Premier League era started then. So it's on for Tony if he can stay fit, basically, and Brentford can keep it up. Well, I will say in this game, David Raya did make a couple of really good saves. And look, Borough, incredibly, had 5 big chances in this game. I do think a couple of them were bang, bang, pinball in the box type thing. So it may have been that 2 or 3, possibly the one where Raya saved with his feet all in one go. But just to say that Borough got picked off, but they They may, do I want to say flattered? They may have not been flattered by the score from Borough's point of view, put it that way. Brentford into second, 1 point behind Norwich with the game in hand. And I think I'm right in saying if the commenter, I think it was it Colin earlier, said the midweek game is Brentford and Reading. So a chance. I'm looking at the goal differences there. Norwich is plus 12. Brentford's is far significant, far superior. So a draw would put Brentford at the top of the table before Norwich play next. Borough slipping away from it. And after we deal with Bournemouth, we'll realise 5 points gap now. So are those playoffs locked in? And an 8 point gap up to Watford as well. It's going to take a tear now from somebody in the second quartile. And other than Blackburn recently, look at the form of the second quartile, 7th down to 12. Other than Blackburn, very poor, you would say. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Is it too early to call the playoffs a lock? Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the chat. Just read QPR's first there. Reading versus Brentford. What a game that will be. Absolutely. Swansea and Brentford are slightly improving. Norwich have to regroup, but the melodramatic reaction of some of their fans is amusing. Well, we've said all season, and I've said predating this season, they had to keep Buendia, Aarons and Pookie at the club and on the pitch. And that appears to be the case, doesn't it? Particularly Buendia. Fosu's development has been amazing. Still don't understand Baptiste not playing or at least being on the bench. Well, Chris says Baptiste has been injured all season. There you go. Raya looking a weak link. Made some good saves, but I think people are going to target him from set plays. Martin says our defending is still not good. Apart from that, the team are playing really well. I assume he's talking Brentford there. Yeah, huge game on Tuesday, Alistair. If Brentford don't go up, Tony will. I suspect you're right there. Bees have scored 9 goals, more than anyone else. Terry says, Raya put in a world-class performance yesterday. You are a funny man bringing Daniels for the best keeper in the championship. Well, I think, Terry, you're right. You've undercut yourself a little bit with exaggeration, though. Raya did put in a good performance, saved a few one-on-ones. However, world-class, I don't think an own goal and messing up a set play can be world-class. And you've done that thing that everyone does. They go straight for, best in the championship, best in the championship. So, you make a good point, but you've undercut yourself with exaggeration there, I'm afraid, my friend. Playoffs not locked until mathematically guaranteed from a Forest fan. Yeah, and he would know there, Mac, after last season. There we go. Brentford tear on in amazing form. And how long can the undefeated streak go? Is Norwich away to come? And then you look at it and you think, who's beating Brentford if they keep everybody fit? Let's move on. Stoke versus Reading was 0-0, which we predicted. I think we had quite a good week with the predictions. Over half of them were correct, which I'll take doing the championship. So 0-0 Stoke and Reading, two teams that do know how to defend, to be fair. So we did expect something of this nature. Gunn, Collins, Suter, Bart, Fox across the back for Stoke. Allen, Mikel, Klukas, McLean, Fletcher, Clark up top. For Reading, Raphael, Holmes, Morrison, McIntyre, Richard, Jidam on the bench. Liam Moore still not around. Rinomota, Lauren, Elise, Swift, Ijaria, Zhao. So nice, strong, stable-looking Reading team. Not much to report. We did have this from Stephen Fletcher, who's going to brilliantly volley that in, I have to say. But as you can see, he is in an offside position. We will just look at the numbers in this one. No big chances in the game, says SofaScore, and only 3 passes in it, 2 shots on target to 1, as we did predict. Paunovic versus O'Neill. a tight affair that ended in a draw. Reading are 7 undefeated. Stoke, 8 draws in 11. I think 1 win in 14 in all competitions. They need some wins. That's blindingly obvious. You can see they've lost the same amount of games with 7 there, Reading and Stoke. However, Reading are obviously 9 points ahead because they know how to win and they haven't got 12 draws. But Stoke are not even ahead of Millwall in the draw stakes there. Let me know what you think in the comments on all of that. And we will move on. And I'm sorry, it's another 0-0. 2 0-0s in a row, but don't worry. Keep commenting. Watford 0, Coventry 0, which was the early kickoff. And we did look at this for the second half in the Saturday Super Stream yesterday. Morosi in goal. Rose, Ostigard, Hyam across the back. Da Costa and McCallum are the wing-backs. Hamer, James, Allen, O'Hare and Biamu for Cov. For Watford, Backman, Messina, Sierralta, Ekong and Gakia, Chalobah Cleverly, Sarr and Semawai, Deeney and Gray up top. And Watford have only scored 12 goals in 14 games. It's fairly obvious that they need to work on chance creation, I think. I don't think they're missing a ton of chances. I think their chance conversion's quite good. They're literally just not creating them from what I have seen. A couple of reasonable chances in this game. There's Biamu in the first half there, heading wide for Coventry. Not far wide at all with that one. Probably should have hit the target at least. Ismail Assar, if that's on his right foot, I think we get a different outcome. Drags it wide with the left foot. And Troy Deeney, unlucky there. A sort of sailing header across Morosi there, who you can see is totally beat by that. Hits the post. If we look at the numbers, however, no big chances for Watford in the game. Not good. Watford, though, are like Bournemouth, really, the beneficiaries of the second quartile in the table not being in very good form. As I say, other than Blackburn, nobody between 7th and 12th has won more than one of their last 5 games. So basically, for Bournemouth and Watford, well, I suppose a bit harsh on Watford, but a 3-game little slip there. It's the best time of the season to be having the bad run because no one below them is chasing. For Coventry, 23 points in 17 games now. So they're enough above the point per game for quite a long sample size. Obviously, across the season, 31 in 28 is above it as well. But there was a sticky run in there earlier in the season. However, the rising tide waits for no man. And we'll talk about the ridiculous form of a few teams down at the bottom of the table, scoring points at a rate that one would not suspect a bottom half team would be scoring. Mr. E says, dire game in the cold and rain at Stoke. A decent point for Reading, but not getting much out of their front 4 away from home. Interesting. Stoke have good players, but maybe like a game changer. Agreed with all. Joseph adds, Stoke managed to nullify Elise and Ajaria well. Jake says, Watford looked flat against Cov. Agreed with that. No spark. Lucky to get a point. It's just a thing with Watford. You always look and you think that with the quality with Deeney and Sarr and Cleverly and Hughes and Sema and João Pedro and Firmino, you just think they should be able to win games without too much bother, should they? But there we go. Munoz not having the effect that he was brought in for, must be on thin ice. Cov were great. Watford flat, says Sean. Right, moving on. Quite the game. We've got 5 goals to talk about. In Bournemouth 3, Birmingham 2. Should we call them Jonathan Woodgate's Bournemouth, just to put the cat amongst the pigeons there? Woodgate in temporary charge, although he now has a win to his name, doesn't he, Woody? Will he get another championship job? I wonder. And this one, with some good players and some parachute money as well, possibly. Begovic in goal, Smith, Carter, Vickers, Cook, Kelly, The other Cook, Lerma, Wilshere. Dan Juma, Shane Long starts up top. Solanke not around. Brooks down the right. For Birmingham, Etheridge, Colin Dean, Friend, Pedersen, San Jose, Sanchez and Bella wide. Gardner, Senic. Hogan, who's going to get a couple of goals in this one. Brother. Let's have a look at these goals. And this one's going to ebb and flow. And another goalkeeping mistake here. We've had Krull and Begovic and Raya as the better goalkeepers in the league, all dropping a ball, as my friend would say. Begovic, second mistake in 2 games, actually, because he dived over the Sheffield Wednesday goal, didn't he, midweek? Spills this one, and Scott Hogan follows up for 1-0. On at Dan Juma there, and you can just see positioning all wrong there. Etheridge showing Dan Juma a huge amount of the goal to his left-hand side. I heard a brilliant piece with Rio Ferdinand talking about Edwin van der Sar, saying how in situations like that, van der Sar would position Ferdinand, and this type of thing wouldn't happen. But those two were world-class players. Etheridge and, is that San Jose? Very serviceable championship players, but Dan Juma capitalises on that. He's now back in the team. He looked very good at the start of the season, Dan Juma, I have to say. This was a brilliant goal by Bournemouth. It had Eddie Howe's stroke, Jason Tyndall's fingerprints all over it. It was, in the first instance, Dan Juma, and then Brooks works it out to Smith. Smith crossed to the back post, and Wilshere, what a header. That is going right in the top corner. Wilshere with a goal, an assist in this game, a goal in the cup. He's pushing the needle, Wilshere. A few of them laughed at that signing, but he doesn't look out of place at all, does he, Jack Wilshere? 2-2. Sorry, a bit of a blurry one there. Couldn't get a better picture than that. Sanchez crosses from the right. Hogan glances in. But from Dan Juma's free kick there, Phil Billing from about a centimetre out sticks that one into the back of the net, and it ends 3-2 to Bournemouth. And look at the numbers. Not the most sustainable of victories, I have to say, for the Cherries. Maybe some quality from Dan Juma and Wilshere getting them through that one. 1 big chance, 2 for Blues, scored both of them. 4 shots on target to Bournemouth, 6 on target to Birmingham. A tight game going in Bournemouth's favour there. I'm not going to say who edged it because I didn't watch all 90 minutes of the game, but I can safely look at those numbers and say not the most viable of victories, but it's a start, especially after 4 straight defeats. Any type of result, draw or win, you'll take after 4 straight defeats. So Bournemouth move 5 points clear there of Borough, and I keep reiterating the poor form of 7th down to 12th there means that Bournemouth have weathered this losing streak. Some more straightforward games you'd think coming up, but hey, I thought Sheffield Wednesday was going to be straightforward, and Bournemouth lost that one. So what do I know? What I do know is that it's Bournemouth's 2nd win in 9 games. So they need to push on for sure. Birmingham are now in the bottom 3 with 6 points in 11 games. Remember that number for when we start to talk about how many points others have been recording, because that is so poor. 6 in 11, not quite 0.5 points per game, but not far away. And given what else has gone on down there, thanks a lot, SofaScore. Thanks for nothing. Of course, we love SofaScore. Given what else has gone on down there, the wrong time to have that run. Birmingham down into the bottom 3. What else have we got next? 3rd mistake in 3 for Begovic. Culpable one at Reading 2. Interesting. And morning to Bits. Always welcome, Mr. Bits, after a glorious Ipswich Town victory yesterday. Total football from Ipswich. QPR 1, Blackburn 0. let's get your comments in on this one. And speaking of teams in the bottom positions in, well, very good form, you would have to flag up Queen's Park Rangers, who have just recorded their 4th win in 5 games, 12 points in 5 games for Rangers, only 2 defeats in 9. Is there a click happening? Have the fixtures worked out? Is Warburton's, as I say, Warburton's tactics now starting to work? Or is it the arrival of Charlie Austin and Bright Asai Samuel leaving? You let me know in the chat on any of those theories. Blackburn were in good form as well. That's ended with this defeat. Well, temporarily ended. Can always get back into good form. Absorb 1 loss. There is the teams there. Dieng in goal for Rangers, Dickey, Cameron, Barbet, Wallace and Kane. Wingbacks, Johansson, Ball, Chair, Dykes and Austin up top. For Rovers, Kaminsky, Nyambi, Lenahan, Braithwaite, Bell, Rothwell, Travis, excuse me, Davenport, Gallagher, Elliott, Armstrong up top. And surprise, surprise, the Wonder Boy actually missed a good chance in this game. It's Harvey Elliott. He's got to score that one, hasn't he? Just shaped that one into the corner, puts it over the bar from Armstrong's cutback. Here is the goal. It takes all sorts, doesn't it? Set play into the box. Barbet's there, gets cleared, shot back in, blocked. Barbet is there again to stick in the rebound. Couple of good saves by Seni Dieng in this one as well. He appears to be playing well. Tight game. QPR are winning tight games at the moment, aren't they? 2 big chances apiece. Rovers not firing up top despite their excellent forward players. Let's have a look at the table and you will see Blackburn first loss in 5, and anyone who wants to go on a run has mistimed it really, although Blackburn were the only ones. Look, 10 points in 4 prior to this one, but 6 points off the playoffs. They do, however, have a game in hand on the 3 teams directly above them. Can Mowbray get more out of that front 3? He's got 41 goals, but it feels like a lot of them have punished teams that have had red cards. I think there's been a 4s and 5s in that against teams with players sent off. Can they do it in a tight, important game is what I'm asking. Of course, 41 goals is a fine return. But anyway, have I dug myself out of that before I get corrected in the comments? QPR, 33 points now, up to 16th, which is fantastic. And the form is fantastic. However, they're only 5 points off the bottom 3, despite that brilliant winning run. Let's see if Rangers can keep it up. Great job by the R's. What have we got here? Noah says, can't believe we won a scrappy game. Well, you did. QPR seem to have turned the corner, but Blackburn's much vaunted attack continues to misfire. I know. I'm the one that vaunts them all the time, Chris. I think QPR can beat any team, says Owen. Championship. We've conceded 2 goals in 2021. Nice and tight. StreamYard, Ollie. Let's move on. And it is Bristol City 0, Cardiff City 2 in the 7-side derby. 7-a-side. That would be fun, wouldn't it? 3rd straight defeat for Bristol City. Mick McCarthy is unbeaten as Cardiff manager. Bristol City, 8 defeats in 11 games. And this is the issue when you appoint the number 2, is that things don't change enough for the fans that didn't like the guy before you or that had got fed up with Lee Johnson. So some of my Bristol City friends, subscribers and the like, are already a bit suspicious of Mr. Holden. He needs some wins, but which manager doesn't? There's your Bristol City team. Bentley, Hunt, Callis, Mawson, Mariappa. Mick McCarthy said openly after the game they targeted Mariappa and Bristol City are struggling at left back. Lansbury gets a start. He's going to play 70 minutes for the first time in a few years in the Championship, I think. Williams, Masengo keeps his place. Wells, Jeju, Semenyo. Chris Martin out for the season, sadly. Good luck to him with his recovery. Speaking of recoveries, Alex Smithies went out after 11 minutes of this one. Dylan Phillips, who was very good actually for Charlton last season, may get a run in the team. We'll see what the state is with Smithies' health. Morrison, Flint, Nelson across the back, and G and Bennett, Rolls and Vokes, with Harry Wilson, Ojo and Kiefer Moore. Mick will love that, won't he? He's got a nice, solid back line. Bennett, he's got can really service those front guys from the left-hand side. And G's energy up and down the right. He's got Volks and Rolls who can sit in there in front of that solid back three. Ojo, Wilson, X Factor, Moore with size up top. He'll love that. Let's see how Mick does with this team. And bearing in mind how terrible everyone in the middle of the table has been. Who knows whether they can go up a few places if they can get on a run. And this may be the start of it. Harry Wilson, free kick in. Curtis Nelson scores the set play. And excellent work from Shay Ojo here and Kiefer Moore actually times his run. Bullets the header in. And it's 2-0. Clean sheet for Mick. And as I said, he is undefeated. That's the first clean sheet. And I think it was Volks we listened to after the game talking about how simple McCarthy's made everything so far. And so far, it's working very nicely. 2 big chances to 0, 39% possession. Bish, bash, bosh. Look at the duels, the aerials, the tackles, the interceptions, the clearances. As you'd imagine, they are ahead on all of them. It's not a complicated game sometimes, is it? Bristol City, 3rd straight defeat, 8th defeat in 11. I suspect the 12 wins already this season give Holden a fair amount of credit in the bank. But once Bristol City gravitate towards halfway, and they do have a 5-point cushion on Millwall in 13th, I think the Bristol City fans are going to start to say, oh, how's this any different? What's happening this season? Where are we going? Etc. Etc. Cardiff, well, keep an eye on them. That's all I'll say. It was already an underachieving squad. So even a basic regression to the mean, which doesn't even factor in the new manager bounce, which is normally just a regression to the mean anyway. I think it's a bit of a myth. But you would expect to see Cardiff possibly move into the top half across the next 3 or 4 games. I'll have to check the fixtures for the Bluebirds, but they are currently undefeated under McCarthy and in 14th position. What are you guys saying? Liam got bullied by Cardiff, played into their hands. Truly awful. Cardiff exposing Mariappa at left back, like every team has done, but Holden won't change. Not good. Cardiff at Rotherham on Tuesday. That'll be rudimentary at times, won't it? Paul Warren won't overcomplicate either. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm not looking down my nose at it at all. I've seen what Mick McCarthy can do firsthand at his best, and it's pretty damn effective, isn't it? Bristol City must have used the most different players in the Championship this season. And Tom says, Holden out, get a proper manager. Well, I'm sure those cries will continue if Bristol City do continue trending down towards the bottom half. One team trending up is Rotherham, by God. It was Preston 1, Rotherham 2. Preston up in 11th, but losing at home to the very much in form Millers. Preston now 4 defeats in 6 around all of this ins and outs. Hugely chaotic transfer window for Preston. Maybe you'd like 2 in, 2 out at most, but it's been a lot more than that at North End. Rotherham now have 13 points in 6 games. They are on fire and giving it a really good go at the bottom. Your only worry is there's a few other teams have risen at the same time. There are your teams. Iverson in goal for Preston. Rafferty, Huntington, Lindsay there, in from Stoke, Hughes, Ledson, Whiteman, Barkhazen, Mollenby, Gordon, Evans. So talk about transfer window. Look, Evans 1, Mollenby 2, Gordon 3, Whiteman 4, Lindsay 5, Iverson 6. 6 players who came in January in that starting 11. And I can already see Vandenberg and Cunningham down there on the bench. Does feel like a new broom at Preston. For Rotherham, Johansson, Ihekwe, McDonald, Robertson, Harding and Giles wide. Wing starts and makes a difference in this game. Barlaser, Lindsay, Hurst starts as well, and Ladapo. So Vaughan even able to rotate and still keep up Rotherham's excellent form of late. And I made this about 15 seconds when I timed it. I think someone said 17 seconds is what's official there. I must admit I had the sound off because it was early this morning. But yeah, they scored straight away, basically. Straight from kickoff. It's worked out to Wing. I think the Preston players half stopped because they think they're going to concede a free kick. There isn't one. Given Ladapo keeps going, hits the shot. And you can see Rafferty is unfortunately going to divert that into his own net. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong decisions. Excellent work from Lewis Wing, number 5. You can see there in the build-up to this one. Ben Wiles sticks it home. Preston did have some decent chances in this game, I have to say. Rotherham did, have some last-ditch defending, but they're in fine form. There's Ched Evans with the only goal for Preston. I think the numbers will reflect some big chances for Preston, 2 in the game. However, Rotherham forced 3 of their own, 6 shots to 5 on target in Preston's favour. Yes, it's a tight game, but at the moment, Rotherham are winning tight games and they're doing really, really well. The Millers go up to 20th, 13 points in 6. That is absolutely sensational recent form from Paul Vaughan and his men. And they are out of the bottom 3. That is a jump up. Yes, Derby didn't play. Yes, Sheffield Wednesday have -6 points, but that's a big jump up. And does that say 26? Yeah. We've only played 26 games, Rotherham. I know you'd rather have the points on the board. But, you know, if you add on from their points per game, you can add on 2 points for the extra 2 games, can't you? Without that being an unreasonable prediction. I don't know who they're against, to be fair, but a basic extrapolation gives them 31, doesn't it? So they're in good nick. Although I keep repeating, the tide is rising at the bottom there. I'm so surprised now that if we actually say Sheffield Wednesday's form is a point per game without the -6, everyone except Wickham is on the normal number that it takes to survive, which is the point per game survival standard, which pretty much 9 out of 10 seasons keeps you up in the Championship. Preston, erratic, bingo, there we go. Who is it? Alistair always calls me out for calling Preston erratic, but they are, aren't they? They're still in the top half. Expect a wobble and then expect a trend upwards when the players that Alex Neil has brought in bed in. So it's probably going to wiggle around and may still end up in somewhere between 14th and 10th in the mid-term future. Where they'll finish, God only knows, in the words of the Beach Boys. Liam, Bristol City fans were already starting to turn. To me, to you, it's a Rotherham shout there. Rafferty, what a plonker. There we go. Rotherham have the best goal difference in the bottom 10. Could be a factor, couldn't it? Really, really could if it's that tight. Jake says, the Evans challenge should have been a red every day of the week. I do not know what you're talking about. Jake, you'll have to smarten me up there. I wasn't aware of. Are we talking Ched? I wasn't aware. So, ho-hum. Let's move on. I'll plead the fifth on that. Right. Barnsley and Derby, we'll just show you where they are in the league table because their game was postponed. Unhelpful postponement, particularly for Derby, because it's dropped them into the bottom 3. That's Barnsley and Derby in the league table. Barnsley just stabilised a bit with 2 draws after losses to Watford, Swansea and Norwich. Derby they'll feel a bit unlucky, won't they? They're not in the bottom three. Did I say they were? So that would be incorrect of me to say. They were at times in the bottom three when Birmingham had a point at Bournemouth, and Sheffield Wednesday actually had the lead. It looked very bad for Derby at one point, but they do have a game in hand on a few teams down there, and you would suspect enough evidence there, given the improvement under Rooney, and if the player, and it's a big if the players they've brought in the window are used and improve the squad, you would expect a trend upwards to continue. But we're looking at a high total at the moment, aren't we? My 1 point rule may not apply for this season, and you might not be wanting to aim for 46. You might want to be aiming for 50 if you're down the bottom there. Right. Jake, I won't comment on any challenge that I haven't seen. I'm not saying you're right, wrong, or anything. I just haven't seen it. My apologies for that. Right. Millwall versus Sheffield Wednesday. Millwall 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1. By God. Someone told me Millwall are going to tonk somebody soon. They've tonked Sheffield Wednesday 4-1 in this one. Sheffield Wednesday were in good form, but Millwall are now 5 undefeated, 9 points in those 5 games. It is a trend in the right direction, an obvious trend in the right direction for what's been quite an unhappy camp for about 3 months, I'd suggest. In goal for Millwall, Białkowski. George Evans makes his debut at centre-back. Hutchison, Cooper, the other centre-halves. Malone, Romeo returns at right wing back rather. Keefton Bell, Leonard back into midfield. He's covered at centre-half the last couple of games with Woods, the other central midfielder. Bodvarsson and Zahor. And Zahor is going to score for the first time since October the 28th. They need more from him because I'm sure he's getting a nice old part of his wages paid by Millwall. And remember, that was a big contract to West Brom, wasn't it? Where they've got him on loan from. For Wednesday, who've been in really nice form, haven't they? Westwood in goal, Lees, Dunkley, Hutchison, Penny, Palmer, Reach, Bannon, Pelupessy, Kachunga and Patterson. And Patterson is going to score the opening goal. And I really want someone to do this. Callum Patterson has scored, he scored 6 this season now. And bless him, they all seem to have been hilariously ugly goals. Here's another one where it kind of all gets blocked. He falls over, he jumps back up and sticks it in the net. He obviously has a knack for being in the right place at the right time, doesn't he? I'm not having a pop. It just seems to me that every time I see a Callum Patterson goal, I'm not warming to its aesthetic beauty, let's just say. Here is Pelupessy, gets the wrong side of Leonard, pulls him down. Penalty. And there is Ken Zahor smacking it into the top corner. Where was Jed Wallace in this game? Is he injured? Here is Scott Malone. Now, the Millwall fans are very excited about this goal. I think this goes in the Alan Hutton bracket. Do you remember that brilliant Alan Hutton goal for Aston Villa against Birmingham, where it was kind of brilliant and rubbish at the same time, where Hutton sort of dribbled and kept going and put it in, and Malone here kind of controls it, flicks it up in the air, goes over, hits the shot, it goes through Westwood, and it's kind of brilliant and kind of bad at the same time, but the Millwall fans all enjoyed it. So we will not rain on their parade. 2-1 Millwall there. Thompson, that's a cross, isn't it? Although, who's he crossing it to? 3-1 there, sails over. You can tell by the angle, but maybe the picture doesn't give the best view. And spot the ball there. Marlon Romeo's hit that, but it's Tom Bradshaw's goal. He just touches it on the way through and makes it 4-1 to Millwall. Let's have a look at the numbers. 1 big chance apiece. Wow. And Millwall managed to stick 4 on. They did have 21 attempts and 9-2 on target. So does look like a far more viable performance by Millwall. Although, of course, your wing-back's not going to turn into Ian Wright and your wide player's not going to score a cross every game. So maybe future viability may see a few tighter games. But let's not knock it. Millwall have been searching for a trend upwards for a while, and they've finally got it now up into 13th place. Sheffield Wednesday, only the second loss in 8, and it is still 16 points in 8 games. So I wouldn't panic if I were a Sheffield Wednesday fan. If they can score 4 points in the next 2 games, they'll have 20 points in 10 games and really good form over a really big sample size. So is it Wycombe next? Am I right? I think it might be Sheffield Wednesday versus Wycombe, which is a very big game. Let me just double check that. I don't want to say that and then be wrong. Yes, Sheffield Wednesday play Wycombe on Tuesday. So a really important game there. And if we look at the bottom of the table, where we talk about that from a Wycombe point of view, that could almost already do for Wycombe, couldn't it? They could be that far adrift. I mean, I know it doesn't necessarily matter in respects of the distance they are off the bottom. It's the distance up to 21 points. But Wednesday making a good go of it. They cannot afford to go on a slippery run now, because the 6-point deduction is really killing Wednesday at the moment because of everybody else's good form. Let's have a look at the chat here. After a dodgy start, became one-way traffic, with Westwood saving them from a proper hiding. Good form has all come since Gary Rowett went 3 in midfield at Huddersfield. Nice. Goal of the season from Malone, says Jimmy. And Jed has a knock. Thank you. Patterson's luck can't continue. I want to see the montage though of Patterson's goals. So good, so good. Tomo said he meant it. Of course he did, Gaza. Of course he did. We have the 4th best defence in the Championship, and that was goal of the season so far. Of course it was. Yes, Tomo's goal was meant. Okay, that's his story and he's sticking to it. We'll never know. Should we leave it at that? We'll never know. I'm calling on that one. But what are you going to do, hey? What are you going to do? Malone turned into Gascoigne. Yeah, I guess it was a little bit, wasn't it? I was going for, do you remember Ian Wright against Matt Jackson, Arsenal versus Everton? Liam, I'll check my tweets in a bit. Tell me what it is, because I've got my phone turned off, because it always flashes and puts me off. Let's move on. 2 to go. Luton 1, Huddersfield 1. And given what we've said about teams in the bottom half kind of outperforming the normal level of teams in the bottom half, unhelpful draw this one for both, really. There are your teams. Sluga, Pearson, Lockyer, Bradley, Potts for Luton across the back, and Panzu, Berry, Dewsbury Hall, Cornick, Collins, Clark. For Huddersfield, Schofield, Pippa, Toffolo, Keo Sarr, Bakuna, Hogg, O'Brien, and Benza, Campbell. Holmes starts, I believe, his first start for Huddersfield. Could be wrong about that, but only recently just signed. Both of these teams are sliding now. Luton, 8 points in 9. Huddersfield, 9 points in 11. So they're just dropping over quite a long sample size. They're just dropping below that point per game that would normally see you slide. However, if you factor in QPR, Forest, Derby, Rotherham and Sheffield Wednesday, all have completely blitzed well over a point per game in recent times. Not good news for Luton and Huddersfield, although they have shown to be probably more viable than those many of those teams beneath them. But just a slight worry on the horizon. Let's have a look at these goals. Mistake by Naby Sarr for the first one. You can see him on the edge of the box, actually, in the worst possible position there. He's given it away, trying to play out, as he's asked to do by Carlos Corberon. But quick turnover, which Luton are very good at, aren't they? And a low cross by Cornick, which Collins, feels like Collins hasn't scored for a while. Collins taps in. Am I wrong about that? I'm probably wrong about that. Probably scored last week, didn't he? I think he did, actually. I just expect him to have a higher total by now. We'll double check that in a sec. There is Naby Sarr. He's going to kind of make amends by following up that free kick. James Collins, 7 goals in 24 games, 0.3. Yeah, I would have thought it would have been a little bit higher than that. But hey, maybe my standards for Mr. Collins are set slightly too high. Here's a red card for Harry Toffolo. Feel a bit sorry for him, to be honest. It's a red card in 2021, but you can clearly see he has a bad touch. He tries to correct it. He goes past the ball in his tackle, and then you're endangering opponent, excessive force, and all of that. Two things can be true. Probably didn't set out to maim the guy, but it probably still could be easily argued as a red card. And that's bad news for Huddersfield, particularly in terms of their balance, because he and Pippa balanced them out nicely. The fullback's important player, important to their system, and that's a serious foul play, so he'll be out for 3 games, won't he? Let's look at the numbers. Luton. 5 big chances and they didn't win. And, of course, the red card into the bargain. Luton will be kicking themselves with that one, won't they? They'll really feel that they should have got the win there, but they didn't. And you can see there, Luton 15th, 6 off the relegation picture. Huddersfield 5 off the relegation picture. As I say, they both have shown themselves to be better than those teams down there. But particularly with Forest, you can see, moving out and above. Can QPR keep it up? Not so sure as I am with Forest. Rotherham, not so sure. Derby, you don't know. There is a really worst case scenario for a Luton or a Huddersfield that they all keep it up. Not to the extent they are at the moment, but they go from being less than a point per game team to a 1.5 points per game team. And, you know where that's going to go. So Luton and Huddersfield do need to look over their shoulders on the evidence of, like I said, 8 points in 9 for Luton and 9 points in 11 for Huddersfield. Let's have a look at your comments. What have we got here? I like your piano. Do you know how to play the piano? Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Ben. Both these teams in peril, says Chris. Luton tried to defend it out. Late useless sub, says Sean. Ince only got 7 minutes. Adebayo not used. New striker from Walsall. Sean, am I right? Felt like a disappointing defeat. Only 6 points to relegate. They are looking that way now. And, you've got to look after your own form. You can't rely on... It's obvious to say Rotherham, QPR and Sheffield Wednesday won't score 2 points per game for 6 or 7 games many times during the rest of the season. If they do, they'll fly up the table, won't they? But you can't rely on them not doing it, if you know what I mean. Another goal to add to Huddersfield's defense. Oh, stop it, Chris. Yeah, there has been a couple. I admire the... I'm sure he's an absolutist in terms of his philosophy, Corberon, where it'll be, no, that's the risk. That'll happen. And as we improve, we'll gain from it. But yeah, you make a reasonable point. Huddersfield, Wickham and Birmingham Luton next Saturday. Oof. And Mr. E, Wickham and Birmingham play in midweek, don't they? Woof. From a reliable source, Holden, Simpson and Downing late leaving the ground yesterday. Oh dear. Is that the dreaded vote of confidence, I wonder? Liam says, I think Luton will be all right, as there are 3 worse teams than them. Interesting. Interesting, especially that Bristol City tweet. Thank you for that, Liam. And let's talk about Forest, who are going great guns at the moment. And, well, they've scored 19 points in 10 games. So it's a really nice extended period of form for Forest, which we did predict after that sticky run of hard fixtures for them. However, I'll say it again, they're only 4 points, despite all of that good form, because of Wednesday and because of Rotherham and Derby. The tide has risen. There's no 3 whipping boys, is there? Remember when Milo Ipswich went down? It was just rubbish, wasn't it? Where Ipswich and who else went down? Rotherham and I can't remember who else went down the season. Ipswich went down. Who else was it? I can't remember. In 18, 19, I should know that off the top. But it was a low standard, wasn't it? For sure. Let's have a look at Forest. And they won 3-0 at Wickham. Easy peasy against the bottom team for Chris Hughton. Wickham lining up there. Also, Grimmer, Knight, Tafazoli, Abita. Bloomfield off the ball, Wheeler. Horgan, Ikpezu, on Dinma. For Forest, Samba, Christy Figueiredo, Worrell, Bong, Garner Cafu. Look at this. Let's call this that dominated the championship before front four. Look, Knockhart, Kravinovic, Freeman, and Murray. Obviously, Knockhart promoted with Brighton and Fulham. Kravinovic promoted with West Brom. Murray promoted with Brighton and Crystal Palace. And Freeman, a good player for QPR, sold up to Sheffield United. So we said, can you get these players playing? That Forest squad is underperforming. Well, not over the last 10 games, they're underperforming. Look away now. Josh Knight completely loses Glenn Murray here. We're in two things can be true category again here. It is a good finish, lobbing it over Auzathoth, but it's bad defending, isn't it, from Knight? I just didn't see how he lost him and then didn't run with him. And Murray appearing to have enough speed at 37 to get away from Knight there. And again, not Josh Knight's best game this one. I don't want to pile in on him, but him and Grimmer kind of leave Murray to each other and Knight pulls him down. Penalty, which also gets a hand to. Should save that one, shouldn't he? But Glenn Murray puts enough power on it and gets his second goal. Nice goal, this one for Forest as well. Garner swings it out to Lolly. Lolly plays it back across and Knockhart sticks it home with the left foot for 3-0 for Forest. And you can imagine a nice, viable victory. Look at that, 17 shots to 11, 5-1 on target, 3 big chances to 0. And Chris Hughton doing what we suspected Chris Hughton might well do at Forest. And in particular, use those last 10 games as a sample size, it really reflects well on Forest, who've picked up 19 points across the 10 games. However, every team down there is only 4 or 5 games run now given. And I mean, just look at it in real simple terms. Look at the green circles with W's in the bottom half compared to 7th to 12th. And you'll see the table's completely out of sync. Only really, well, in fact, yeah, look at it. Go down to 15th from 7th. Take Blackburn out. They're the only one with 3 wins. Millwall have got 2. Everybody else struggling for wins. And then down in the bottom half, QPR with 4, Forest with 3, Rotherham with 3, Derby with 3, Sheffield Wednesday with 3. The table's all askew at the moment to what we would normally expect. Go figure for how a league table works, where the winning teams tend to be higher up and the losing teams down the bottom. But hey, it's the championship. Still hasn't worked itself out yet. What has worked itself out yet is that Wigan are not very good, I'm afraid. 1 win in 16 now. Remember, they had those back-to-back wins, and then I think that other win was not too far after that got them close. But were we just fooled by Sheffield Wednesday's -6? Because they're miles behind now, Wickham, aren't they? 12 points off safety. And as I mentioned, the next game is against Sheffield Wednesday, isn't it? So potential for the gap to grow. A long, old struggle this season for Wickham, isn't it? I'm just going to quickly, let me just get the poll up that we did for the goal of the round, which is always good fun. Let me copy that in. Get your thoughts in. Goal of the round. I will read your comments on. Have we got it? There you go. We have got it up on the other screen. Let me just read your comments vis-a-vis Forest. No, Ipswich didn't go down the season. Sunderland went down. It was definitely Ipswich, Rotherham, and one else. Sunderland went down the season. Thank you, Bolton. There you go. Murray has surprised me, but it was against a mid-table League One side. Yeah. Surprisingly, Bong hasn't played too badly. Getting the band back together, Joel, Bong, Murray, Knockhart, and Hughton. There you go. Your defence can't be up to much if Murray outpaced you twice. Wickham missed Jacobson, and his set pieces caused problems, and Forest have a natural goal scorer. I think they got 3 natural goal scorers, haven't they? They've got Graben, Murray, who Watford didn't fancy. Well, Ivic particularly didn't fancy at Watford. And Lyle Taylor. Top 6 sorted, but not in order yet, I don't think. Skipper, if only Brentford had hung on at Swansea. I didn't say foul. What about this next one, Skipper? Another David Raya question. Goal of the week, please, guys. Goal of the week. There is my poll there. You can see Hurahan, 45% for Swansea. Wilshere, 16%. Wiles, 11%. Murray for Forest, 29%. I didn't, for my sins, put Scott Malone's goal on, and we have had 3 or 4 shouts out for Scott Malone as well. I'm going for Jack Wilshere for my goal of the weekend, but you know I like a certain type of goal. Let me know who your goal of the weekend is. Malone's Gascoigne-esque effort. That one's getting a lot of love, isn't it? Scott Malone this week. Team of the week. What do you think? I'm between Rotherham, QPR and Swansea. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat for team of the week. I'll go to those in just a second. But first of all, let's just say thank you again to Russ, who is our fan sponsor, a fan and now friend, despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. As ever, Super Chat is your best way to support live, but Patreon in general, if you really want to support my work as a content creator. And if you are here via YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, then you can hit that thumbs up button right now. And please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. Help us out there. What are you guys saying here? Malone says Chris. Ben says Jack Grealish. Wrong division, and I don't think Jack Grealish scored, did he? Never mind. Luton's was great. Yeah, my only issue, Sean, is it came from a mistake in the first instant. Rotherham team of the week, says Liam. And Jake says Rotherham team of the week. Swansea team of the week, says Mr. E. All of those teams won't care whether they're our team of the week, will they? Because they all had a really good time of it and won their games. Right. Thank you very much. I will be back tomorrow. We'll be doing Dearly Departed stuff. We'll see how the Dearly Departed game goes today between Spurs and West Brom. But there won't be any watch-alongs or anything. Now I'm going to spend the afternoon with the missus and the dogs and probably go for a walk and go to the shops. Tomorrow, though, check out tribalfootball.com. My piece will be up. I will be filming the Blue Monday podcast tonight as well, talking about Ipswich. And we'll be back into it, more games in mid-week. Probably will have the night off tomorrow night as well. So for those of you who would like to see the Leeds Palace potential watch along as well. I need a night off every now and then. Every now and then I fall apart. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the stream. Enjoy your Sunday. Good luck for you, those of you staying up to watch the Super Bowl tonight as well. I'll try and keep away and watch it in the morning. Right, with all of that being said, all that remains for me to do is say over and out, and I will see you tomorrow, no doubt, unless this big story develops in the Championship today. Strange things have happened. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.